Gentlemen, we are back again. We are here again doing this Couch Champions Fantasy Football podcast. So good to be with you boys again. You know, so we want to go into this first segment and we want to talk about some tips and tricks you guys can use in this time right now. This is a very important time, whether you see it or not. A lot of people, a lot of fantasy players do not give respect to this time right now, which is the time this, May, June, July, this time where you just take your time to learn about the players, learn about the things that you need to do in your draft, the thing that's going on in your league, and the things that you need to do to strengthen up your football IQ as you prepare for the season. So we want to give you guys some preparation tips in this time, in this early fantasy time. Who's going to kick it off?
I'll kick it off. And going off of what you said, when I was just a casual fantasy player, the off season, fantasy was the furthest thing away from my mind. I didn't listen to any of the shows, and I went into the fantasy season unprepared. And then when I got a little bit serious about it, I picked up some of these tricks. And one of the tricks is, especially in Dynasty, is to go back and see how you drafted, how your other league mates are drafting, and see what they do. Plenty of the times we look and we see a guy who did well towards the end of the season, but we forget how long it took for him to get the starting position, how long it took for the coach to actually have confidence in him. And then you go into the next year and you overdraft him. So something I try to do every few weeks is to just go back, look at their past drafts, see where players are going. You can also see the habits of your other league mates. You can see if a league mate reaches for running backs a lot, well, you'll know that you don't have to take those running backs as early as you would. And it's just going over, looking at draft strategy and keep practicing. We did a mock draft last week and we're going to do a few more. And you actually get better at drafting when you keep practicing.
Drafting is key, man.
And that leads into my point. Mock drafts as much as you can. The more you mock draft, the better you get at it. You get more used to not getting flustered if one of the players you wanted gets sniped, which happens
to me.
The biggest. That is the biggest throw off.
I think that is one of the biggest benefits to mock draft, and you get used to pivoting when someone takes a player you want.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't take a player right before you, and you're like, oh, flip, that's who I was going to take. I don't know who to take now. And you end up taking a player you don't want.
Right.
And another point to go off that is to put your players in tiers. So what I do for my draft is, you already know what draft picks you're going to have. So I have 1, and I put all players I'm willing to take in that spot. 2, all players I'm willing to take at 2. And that'll help you not to overreach for players.
Right.
So it's like I in the 3rd round, this play I have on the board ain't until the 5th round, so I can take him now.
Right.
And it keeps you honest to your draft strategy.
Trust your process too, man. I think one of the biggest things, just to piggyback on that before I go to my point, is I know I did the same thing for a long time. And when I first started doing that, even though I created the tier list, when things happened the way I didn't want it to,
by the 3rd round, you then try to book away.
Same thing
all
with
systems, code red. I'm just pressing all the buttons on the console. Yes. Like, eject. But no, man, you got to listen. Trust your thinking that you had when you were calm and when you were not going into desperation mode. Trust the process. Trust what your thoughts and your tier.
Yeah. So practice makes perfect, guys.
Right. That's pretty much practice makes perfect. Mock draft. My tip is going to be basically to continue as the league and the season gets closer. Pay attention to what's going on in the NFL and try and pay a little bit more attention than you have in the past as it leads up, as it gets closer. Subscribe to NFL pages where they can send you emails straight to your email and make sure you have notifications. Get on Twitter. You listen. If I can give you one tip, get on Twitter. Follow. There are certain accounts There's NBC Edge, I believe is the name of the account. Now this is one of my hidden tricks. So I'm really just giving you
write that down.
NBC Edge Sports
Okay.
is the first. They are usually the first to break news. I see it before it pops up on Sleeper. That's after we.
That's
draft.
how you are
That's
able
how
to
you see
snipe
picking up players
everything
so
off the
quick.
wire.
Yeah, see, I just giving away my strats
wire
now. But you know
monger?
what? I'm doing it for the people. I'm doing it for the people. NBC
Guys,
Edge.
you don't
Sports,
know how much we sacrificing for you guys giving out these tips. But
listen, man, it hurts me. It hurts me to hear y'all enjoy that news I just gave just now because I don't want to give that to y'all. But yeah, and NBC Edge Sports on Twitter. Make sure show all notifications. Hit the bell for them. I need to go. They need to sponsor us. I'm doing too much right now.
We have to set up a few meetings.
Yeah, those guys get the information out quickly. If you remember what happened with James Robinson last year. The news with James Robinson came out, and it was like, I mean, it was a mixture of, oh, he's on the Jaguars, and then like, oh, well, do you really care about having the running back on the Jaguars? You know, there was news that came out that he was the top guy.
Really?
Oh yeah, that came out before that came out literally right before like the first game, the first game of the season. There was a couple days before the first game of the season, and they were saying James Robinson is the guy.
I must admit, I spent the entire offseason last year wondering which one of the 100 running backs would be the one to come out. And James Robinson, I would have never guessed.
No.
Ever.
But that news came out, and whoever was quick to the draw was able to either pivot. Some people, I heard stories of people like literally in their draft, and that news came out, and they took James Robinson with the last pick in that draft. Wow. And that would have ended up being like, you know, just game-winning move right now because he killed last season. Wow. So look for opportunities like that. Look for these guys who are getting opportunities that are lesser known players that you can take advantage of.
It's NBC Sports Edge.
NBC Sports Edge, yes.
See, he still tried to throw you a little fake.
Yeah, so he tried.
I knew our audience would catch that. I was hoping that you guys would be too slow. But finally, y'all are faster on the draw than I thought.
My trick. Good one, good.
No, I didn't actually. I just quoted them wrong. But yeah, that's my tip. Just keep an eye out for the news and always be listening. Just be ready. And that's pretty much the tips from the three of us on just as the season gets closer, be more with the person that is the most in it. You're gonna see the most value.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna have a lot more tips. Just stay tuned throughout the off season, and we'll get you all primed up to win.
Yes, sir. Moving right along, though, for this show. We have a lot to talk about, and so we want to get to this as soon as possible. For the next couple of episodes, guys, we want to start breaking down these divisions, division by division right now. Start breaking down the teams in these divisions and the players in these teams, and start to talk about where you need to squeeze that good fantasy juice out of these teams for the best to get your best value.
Who are we going to start with?
We're going to start with the NFC East.
You got it right.
Yeah. Battle for the bottom.
I don't think they're going to be the NFC least this year. Just FYI. I think that's going to change.
I mean, I still think they can be the worst division in the NFC, but they won't be as bad as they was last year.
No, it's almost impossible to be as bad as that was last year.
Yeah.
No. There was definitely a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, I think a lot of injuries played a part.
A lot of injuries in that whole division.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be. I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive, but there's a lot of fantasy goodness to be had in the NFC least. Let me tell you. I think each of these teams, except for one, I'm really excited about.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that later. But let's start off with the Washington football team. This is one of the teams that I feel like have a lot of fantasy value. By the way, this is not the team that I was talking about. A lot of people might think this was the team, but there's a lot to talk about there.
Yes, sneaky good.
Yeah,
I think they will be.
The
They
only
actually have a
negative
pretty
about
good
them
team.
is that they have a good defense, right? Because if they had a horrible defense like
They
the
would have to sling it.
Cowboys have and maybe will still have, they wouldn't be as good. But
Yeah,
I mean,
agreed
that's-
for fantasy.
yeah,
A bad defense. Sorry, a good defense bodes well for running backs. Though.
True.
right.
True. This is true.
But if you're talking
The-
about spreading that goodness all around, because what I like about Washington, they have a ton of great pass catches now. Terry
Mhm.
McLaurin got some help. You know, he was one of the only contributors last year, and now he's gotten some help. There's even a sleeper there, Diami Brown, someone I picked up in my dynasty. And if you guys have been on Twitter these last couple of days, they're buzzing about him. The Twitter industry, the fantasy Twitter industry is saying he is one of the steals of the NFL draft. And so hopefully, if it's not too late, he can be one of your steals on your dynasty draft or on your sleeper draft.
And don't forget, the Washington football team might have a great defense, but at the same time, Ryan Fitzpatrick don't care about your great defense.
He's a
No.
gunslinger.
Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't care about anything. Ryan Fitzpatrick is 39. Ryan Fitzpatrick has nothing left to lose.
No, he doesn't care at all.
He
Yeah,
only here to sling it.
That ball is getting thrown. So
He clearly cares nothing about his touchdown interception ratio.
No, who cares?
No.
What's for what?
Did you see that beard? Did you see that beard?
That's a
Does that
glorious-
look like a man that cares?
That's a glorious beard, though.
The only thing he cares for is that beard.
Yeah. But guys, even Curtis Samuel, who they picked up from the Carolina Panthers, he's a versatile wide receiver who can play in the backfield as well.
Yeah.
I know, and Ron
I'm
Rivera,
really excited about Curtis Samuel in that offense.
I think Ron Rivera is going to have some fun this year.
Well, let's remember Ron Rivera, and under Ron Rivera, we saw, that was Cam Newton's
MVP season.
Cam Newton's MVP season. We saw Christian McCaffrey come up in that season in that offense.
Right.
That offense. We have,
saw,
and
we saw Kelvin Benjamin be good his rookie year.
We did see the rise and fall of Kelvin Benjamin, but that
Funches.
was.
Remember, we also saw Funches.
That's
he had
true.
his best years.
That's true.
Underneath Ron Rivera with Kelvin Benjamin there.
Yeah, we know Ron Rivera is
Riverboat.
he can generate that offense,
Riverboat,
and he also has that team behind him after his battle with cancer last year and his his success.
And then I'm going to just say one other sleeper for a tight end, Logan Thomas.
Thomas, yes.
He had a great year. He had a good year last year.
He had a quiet good year.
He had a quiet good year, very consistent as well. So
I believe he was fun. I believe he ended tight end 6,
possibly somewhere around that range.
I believe that's where he ended in fantasy last year, and I believe he can go higher this year. Honestly,
yeah, things are looking good there.
With Fitzpatrick there slinging the ball, anything is possible. I mean, we didn't mention. I know it might be a given, but Antonio Gibson as well.
Right.
Is there, their lead running back. Antonio Gibson is an interesting prospect because he had a lot of touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
He had 11 touchdowns last season.
Right.
That's definitely a lot for a rookie running back. He got a lot of work, but also
even with JD McKissick there, who caught a lot of passes as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel like he doesn't really have much competition in the backfield.
No,
he's definitely going to be the number one.
The biggest issue is going to be JD McKissick taking catches away.
Right.
But even that, he's going to get enough work.
He still did pretty well with McKissick playing a healthy role in the offense.
Definitely. So I think the sky is the limit for this team right now. In terms of fantasy, definitely, Scary Terry. I mean, this is the best quarterback that I think he's ever played with.
Well,
yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with,
I mean,
really
Alex Smith was accurate.
Alex Smith was accurate, this is pre-injury Alex Smith. I no disrespect to Alex Smith, but we know,
right.
Pre-injury Alex Smith,
a little bit conservative.
Not really what he was, even though he still could throw an accurate ball.
Yeah.
Right.
But so yeah, Washington football team, all in all, I think are looking really well. And these guys these are some of the names that you need to be looking out for. So, before we get to another team, gents, Scary Terry. Let's give people some tangible fantasy things to think about. Where would you guys take him in the upcoming fantasy redraft leagues?
Redraft? I would take him
Redraft.
about the third for me.
Yeah.
About the third round. Definitely a steal if you get into the fourths and fifths. I love him because he's the bona fide number one. And he demands targets, and he's very, very consistent. He's going to give you at least 60 to 70 yards per game, and on top of that, a touchdown. So he's definitely some third round value for me.
Agreed. I would take him in the third, and if you could get him as your wide receiver too, that'd be even better.
Yeah.
All right. So the guys going around Terry right now are David Montgomery, Allen Robinson, Chris Carson, Mike Evans, Josh Allen, Julio Jones.
Okay.
Out of those, and let's just pick three of those guys. Let's go Montgomery, let's go Allen Robinson, and let's go Mike Evans. Give me what
I take Scary Terry over
Scary Terry.
I'll take Scary Terry over all of them. The only other name, Chris Carson, I might take Chris Carson ahead of him. Yeah.
No,
okay.
I'll still take Scary Terry over him.
Would you want to have him as your number one wide receiver?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
All right. Because he is going around the third round right now, mid-third round. And so depending on your draft strategy, you could have, mind you, if you did take him, this would mean that you would have two great running backs ahead of him.
Right.
And so,
if I had two good running backs ahead of him, I would take him as my number one.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I think out of those guys, I don't know. I would be, just because the allure. I really love Allen Robinson, so the allure of Fields coming in there and doing something and being great. That's the true. Best quarterback that Allen. This is we know this is the best quarterback that Allen Robinson ever played with, and no one believes that Dalton is going to play more than 2 games. So if that. So I think I would take Allen Robinson. I think that's the only one I would take over Terry at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Definitely a future is bright, even though you traded him away.
Let's not bring that up.
Let's get this out of the way. Let's talk about the Giants. We're going to talk about the Giants. No, not that, Xander. Next, we can do that next.
Okay.
No, I'm saying let's get. No. We're gonna save that for last. We're gonna talk about that team last.
All right.
Because let's talk about the Giants. When I say get this out of the way, this is the team that I don't even know what I'm expecting out of anyone on this team.
It's tough. Because even
talk to me, guys. Talk to me about the Giants.
Looking at their roster,
give me some hope.
Not bad.
Okay.
It just heavily depends on what Daniel Jones is. Because their wide receivers aren't bad. They have Golladay, Shepard, Slayton. They just drafted Tony, and they pick up John Ross, I guess, as a reclamation project.
When I was looking at their, because I had to look at their roster to get some stats for this show, and I was like, John Ross is on the Giants? When did that? I don't even know when that happened.
He went almost as soon as the NFL season ended, I think. And I was pretty excited, except when I saw some news that he was he was training with the cornerbacks because they wouldn't let him on the wide receiver squad.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I don't see much happening in the way for him because
he just stays injured.
He's fifth on the depth chart right now. I don't see him getting much snaps to do anything.
I could barely see him making the team.
And Daniel Jones isn't that great a quarterback to spread the ball around to that many receivers.
It all hinges on this is why I have the biggest question mark about this team, because everyone's value hinges on Daniel Jones right now.
I think it hinges
Except
more on,
maybe Saquon.
I was going to say, I think it hinges more on Saquon, and it would help if Daniel Jones is at least serviceable.
Okay, talk about it.
Because Saquon is a dual threat on the ground and in the air, and he can always leak out. And so if he's healthy and he can open up the field, I think those speedy, dependable possession receivers, they have a chance, especially in PPR leagues. So that's the sort of value I can see coming out of those. Any one of those guys, I would maybe have as my flex or fourth receiver on my team, but I would not be investing much draft capital in any of those guys.
Daniel Jones, the thing about Daniel Jones is that, he has been known to scamper.
Right.
He has been known to use his legs in the past and get out of situations, and get himself into situations and, find friendly ghosts on the field as well.
And fight gravity.
Yeah.
And lose.
And fumble that ball.
Right.
Daniel Fumble Jones.
I don't know who told them effective football strategy was put butt on your gloves for every game. I don't know why that's a thing. But
yeah,
I mean, his biggest issue is consistency.
Right.
There's some games where he looks amazing.
Right.
And then next week it's like, well, who this fella is? Where you come from?
Right.
So I agree with you. I'm not putting much stock in any of these receivers. I mean, the only person here I would take a high draft pick on is Saquon. Galladay would be a late third, early fourth for me. And the rest of them is waiver wire fodder.
And call off the tight ends, guys.
Oh my goodness.
What tight ends?
Oh man.
Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph. I don't even know who Caden Smith.
Kelvin Benjamin, KB. The second time we can mention his name today.
Yeah, see, we might have to cancel our podcast because we've mentioned Kelvin Benjamin twice.
I serious.
I promise we're legitimate, guys. I'm sorry.
Promise you.
He's on the roster. We couldn't leave him out.
Yeah.
All right. But no, I don't understand the reason why they have so much tight ends. I mean, Evan Ingram was a first round. People forget that Evan Ingram was a first round drafted tight end. Right. Evan Ingram was supposed to be the next Kelsey. Supposed to be, the next big tight end that was gonna be able to consistently get us points and be a producing tight end. But in between the injuries and
he's such a disappointment.
The inconsistent play on the field, it's just hard to trust him. As far as tight ends go, I wouldn't. Depending on where I would have to draft Evan Ingram. If I passed on all the other tight ends, if I passed on all the other big tight ends, I wouldn't mind having Evan Ingram if I was able to get him in the 10th round, if I was able to get him in the 9th or 10th round. At the end of the day, I still think he's gonna get targets.
Yeah,
listen, tight end. Remember that the tight end position is a wasteland. That's all right, we're not. There's Kelsey
with a good matchup.
There's maybe Kittle. We have to see if Kittle can come back, but there's Kelsey and then pretty much, we're and Darren Waller.
Yeah.
And after that we are right. So we don't want to count him out. Xander, I see your face, but we gotta.
No, I mean,
we itching to move past the Giants.
there are very few bright spots on this roster.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but I mean, Kenny Galladay is the only person that I would consider drafting in any kind of high round, and like you said, end of the third, beginning of the fourth is when I would start thinking about it.
Yeah. Maybe fourth or fifth for me.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Please.
Let's move on.
Not much else to say.
Let's talk about them Cowboys.
How about
them Cowboys?
How about them? Who want to talk about them?
Sander.
I just want to say I have an embargo on Ezekiel Elliott. I want nothing to do with him.
Really now?
Oh, you're completely out.
Complete. I mean, I'm just burned from last year. I took him.
He did have a terrible season.
I took him last year and he did nothing. he was so bad I couldn't even trade him. I tried to trade him and nobody wanted him.
I remember that because you probably drafted him at like your 101, 102, something like that.
I think I drafted him 4th or 5th overall, one of the two.
Yeah, that's gross.
It was very gross. I was never a Zeke fan, so I just took him as like, okay,
the value.
I may not like the guy, but he's good in fantasy, and he just destroyed that. So
he is in such a weird place right now.
Yes.
It's hard, in Dynasty. I own him in in about 2 leagues right now. And it's so weird to own Zeke right now because you want to trade him, but you can't get the value that you think you should get.
Yep.
Someone has offered me a 1st round pick next year for Zeke, but he had a bad season last season, but that doesn't mean he's bad.
Yeah.
I agree.
Dak was out. And with the quarterback usually goes the whole offense.
But
and so we cannot judge him. We can't judge him all for that. Like now he did, at the end of the day, he did not play well.
No.
Right.
And so we know that he lost some stuff from last season, but I'm not willing to just completely negate his value because he is still the top dog in that backfield.
Right.
Tony Pollard is still only going to get chances when Zeke is out, and he's not going to get as much chances as your average. This is not a committee. This is Zeke's team.
Right. The only thing is his age in Dynasty. And so you would be looking to try to offload Zeke. Like if he gets through his first 3 to 4 games looking good, it's a perfect time. It's a perfect time to offload him.
Yeah. Then is the time. And I think that's what I'm feeling too, even in my leagues right now. For what people are offering, I could take that, but I still feel like I'm losing. A bit too much because of the name of Zeke, and I still think he has a lot. He's gonna have a lot of opportunity, and I think he's gonna be great this season.
Well,
I think he's gonna have a really good season, but I think it's gonna be one of his last good seasons.
Let's talk about these pass catches though, Theo, because Dak is coming back, and I have full confidence in Dak and him chasing his almost historical season that he had last year, and he has the weapons with Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. Even though he took a backseat last year, he's still a very capable receiver. Your boy, the tight end,
Jarwin.
Hopefully he's back from his injury, and I think Dak has all of the weapons he needs to get the job done. What do you think?
It's definitely, when you think about that offense, it's definitely more Dak. I'm excited about. And then there's the wide receiving options, which I'm like, I'm medium excited about.
Well, the buzz is that CeeDee Lamb is going to emerge to be the number 1 receiver. What do you think about that?
I could see it happen. He flashed quite a bit last year, even after Dak went out.
Right.
So I could see it happen. Honestly, of the receiving options in Dallas, CeeDee Lamb is the only one I would draft.
You wouldn't draft Cooper.
Unless Cooper fell like really low in the draft.
Right.
Like his current draft stock is not my value on him.
Okay.
Amari Cooper or Terry McLaurin?
I'll be McLaurin for me.
I'd take McLaurin.
Yeah, I like that consistency.
Because you know Cooper has those games where he just disappears and
right, and that's
like,
always
is
the
this
knock
play
against
injured?
him.
Like, where is he?
He's such a great receiver, but the inconsistency, especially when you need it, I can't do it to myself.
Yeah, Amari Cooper is just he's such a difficult prospect because he's really good. He's really good, but he's dealt with inconsistency his whole career. From the Raiders to the Cowboys, there's been games where he just is catching everything and making incredible pass, throws and catches, and he's just doing everything you want to see him do, but then he just disappears in certain games. He also has that turf toe thing.
That pops up every now and then.
That pops in and out that Julio deals with. And so it's always Amari Cooper is going in the beginning of the 4th round right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I think that's great value. See, you have to always consider where these players are going.
That's a good nugget, Theo.
Yeah. I mean, to have Amari Cooper as my wide receiver too, sign me up for that every time. every time. If I have already taken a Devontae Adams or I've taken some AJ Brown, Keenan Allen, someone like that, and I can have Amari Cooper. And then I can take the inconsistency all day because I already got my wide receiver that's gonna provide me with that nice base.
Sign me up, but that's a perfect breakout.
Yeah, so I actually feel like where Amari is falling right now is perfect for him.
What receivers are going around Amari?
The receivers going around Amari right now. Let's see. It's gonna be Chris Godwin who's going around 2 picks later. Then there's Robert Woods, CeeDee Lamb, and Adam Thielen.
Give me some Cooper.
I think I prefer Cooper over all of those guys.
Yeah.
And maybe in a redraft, I'm thinking that Thielen is the only one that I'm second guessing.
I would take a Lamb over him, especially in Dynasty.
Lamb? Well, they're definitely Dynasty. But
Lamb in Dynasty, yes, but in redraft, I'm not so sure. Just because I that would be betting that Lamb is going to make a jump that we hope happens.
Right. We already know what
this
can do.
This is on the assumption of this is my wide receiver too. I just feel like Lamb has a higher ceiling than Cooper does.
Right.
So, that's fair.
I would be willing to take that bet on Lamb.
Okay.
That's fair. In terms of the tight end, what would you say just now, Shirlen?
I said, now behold the Lamb.
Oh, why did I stop for that? In terms of the tight ends, I don't think there's a whole lot to mention. Blake Jarwin got injured very early last season. There was a big hype around him.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Going into last season.
There's nothing else to mention in the tight end pool here.
We'll see. I mean, a late round flyer, picking him up on the waiver after the draft. That's the kind of thing you're looking for with Blake Jarwin, I think.
I would keep my eye out for a Dallas tight end, though. I really would.
Where
would you take him?
No, I mean, tight ends, they would have to fall to me like 9th, 10th.
Hold on. You're saying keep an eye out for other tight ends other than Blake Jarwin?
Just any tight end on the Dallas Cowboys, I would keep an eye out for.
I mean, but how do you quantify which one of them you want to take, though?
Well, I'd watch the first game.
Oh, you mean pick up off the waiver? That's what you mean.
Pick up off the waiver.
Okay, I thought you meant to draft.
Right, no, I wouldn't draft. But
these names, I heard of Dalton Schultz before, but the other two, Sprinkle and
no.
Oh yeah, no, it's only Schultz and Jarwin that you're even considering. But I see what you're saying.
I said it because,
but I feel like all of them you could watch on the waiver and just pick up.
Agree, because remember last year Jarwin was the sleeper and he got injured, and Schultz actually came in and
he was serviceable.
And he played the role. So I think if you pass the 10-finger, 10-toe test in Dallas, where the ball is getting slung for 6,000 yards, you could have a serviceable tight end.
All right. So before we move on to the main event, I just want to get a check on Dak in terms of where you guys are looking. Do you consider Dak to be one of those elite quarterbacks where you're, I know we have all said that we want to draft our quarterbacks late. Dak is going in the 5th round right now, which is still pretty early for a quarterback in my book. I'm looking for a quarterback usually 6th, 7th, 8th. Dak is going in the 5th round right now. Lamar Jackson is going one spot ahead of Dak right now.
I think that's appropriate.
You think that's appropriate?
Because what I was going to say is I think the 5th is good. If you're somebody who reaches a little bit for a quarterback, the 5th round would be good for his value. Because I keep bringing up this historical pace he was about to set last season, 6,000 yards. And I think it was attainable because of how bad the defense was and how he had to carry the team on his back. And I see that happening again. And so,
see, what's amazing to me though, Shirlen, is that you think Joe Burrow is going to take some time to get back. You said all these things about Joe Burrow. And yet Dak had an injury that was the same, or some might say even worse if you looked at that injury on the field.
Was worse.
And you think he's going to just
Your bias
snap
is
back
showing.
in.
It's
The
a
bias
teeny
is
little bit
showing.
of bias baked in there. I won't lie. And it
Yeah.
shows because on my team, Dak was my starting quarterback. And just in case he's not available for the first 1 or 2 games, I do have a backup that we'll talk about later.
I don't think Dak is going to be as great as he was in those first couple of games. I don't think the defense will be as bad as it was last year.
Okay.
Mm.
I think the defense will be not great, but it'll be a little bit better. So Dak won't have to air it out as much as he can. And a lot of those early games was a lot of luck going on in there. They had a lot of luck.
That's what you want to call it. But where I do have the confidence is that in those games, even though Dak can be a running quarterback when he needs to, if you look at those games, he did not do a lot of running. He did a lot of passing. And as somebody just coming back from an injury, you have to rely on your arm. And so there will be a fall off, but I don't see it be a tremendous fall off. I think Dak is even going to use the screen game a little bit more with Ezekiel Elliott and even the short screens with CD Lamb. I think he's still good for a at least 4,500 yard season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take him a few games to get back into it because he's going to have to get comfortable putting pressure on that leg again and being comfortable getting hit.
Yeah,
because that can be in the back of his mind. I don't want to break my leg again.
It's in the back of my mind.
Exactly. So I think it's going to take a few games for him to get back into it. But the 5th round, that's not bad for him, especially if there's a run on quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, 5th round is getting really close to. Yeah, that's around the time when all your decisions that make your face do this.
Yeah,
right.
You know, so I mean, so Kenny Golladay is actually going 3 spots behind Dak. Would you take Dak or would you take Kenny Golladay? I mean, it depends on your team makeup, I guess.
It really depends on my team makeup.
But give me Golladay every day.
Yeah, I think I would take Golladay.
Yeah, I'd take Golladay.
I would take Golladay.
I'd take my chances to just getting a quarterback a little bit later.
Yeah, I would take Golladay and then just pick up Hurts off the waiver because he could be floating around out there and nobody want him.
What? Anyway, where do we get to this segment?
All right, so we're gonna get to this. We're gonna, as the smooth transition Xander just gave us, we're gonna move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you could not tell, there's a bit of contention in the ranks right now. We're a little split. We're a little split on one particular person on this Eagles team, and someone on one of the couch champions is very overexcited. And so we're going to move on to the Eagles team. Eagles, the last team we're going to talk about today. And yeah, go ahead, Shirlen. Let's remember that there are multiple members of the Eagles team, though, and not just one.
Yes, but I'll just start with some stats, right? I'll start with some stats. Guess which running back this was, guys? I already did this with these other guys, but guess which running back is this? In the last 4 games, he got 106 yards on the ground, 63 yards and a touchdown, 69 yards, 34 yards, and 2 touchdowns before being pulled in half. Guess which running back it was? It wasn't a running back. It was Jalen Hurts. That's just running. I'm not going to spend the time going through the passing yards, but the passing yards are pretty impressive as well. This quarterback, look at these guys ignoring me. I am fully confident in Jalen Hurts. This year, he is my breaker. He's going to be my ride or die. All he needs is an opportunity. And so far, throughout the offseason, he's getting the opportunity. I'm not saying he's going to be a prolific quarterback. I do think he has the potential to be. But all he needs is to play the full game for the full 17 games this season. And you're going to have a top 10 quarterback. Trust me, guys. I'm willing to put everything on this.
No.
You keep saying all he needs is an opportunity.
And don't say top 10 either. You better say top 5 if you start staking your claim. Because the way you're talking, I don't want to hear top 10. No one is. I'm not arguing top 10. No, you better the way 10. You've been talking about him. Say top 5. Say top 5 or stop talking about him so highly.
It's definitely possible, but I'm going to hedge my bet. Top 10 quarterback. It's going to be Hurts.
See, look how you're talking back now that we're recording.
Yeah.
Now that we're recording. All
No,
these.
you want
Come
me
on
to
now.
you want me
If
to
you're so
oversell it
sure, say top five, bro.
Top 5.
as we get
Because
close.
I'll give you top 10 easily. Sure, he can be top 10. But the way you have been talking, Shirlen,
Top
is
8,
like he is going to
top
be
8.
Nobody
You
says
know,
top eight.
we'll set up a
towards the
bet.
top 8.
Theo, we need to set up a bet. We'll work out
Fine.
we'll work
Fine.
out the parameters, but whoo, Jalen Hurts, I'm excited for this guy. And look at the weapons he's gotten.
Yeah, let's
He
talk
went
about the
out.
weapons.
They went out and they got the Heisman Trophy winner, Devonta Smith.
I don't know
Unproven.
why you keep saying Heisman like that.
Heisman.
That automatically makes him good.
Oh, the hate.
You
Secondly,
know, Tim Tebow won a Heisman.
Jalen Reagor, first
Unproven.
round, unproven.
Both of these unproven NFL targets
Jalen
right
Reagor
now.
was hurt
Sorry.
last year, so technically, yes, he is unproven, but he's a dog. He's an alpha out there. Speed stuff. And you saw in the few games, he depended on Reagor. He had like an 80-yard bomb to Reagor. Then he still has Miles Sanders. Then the rookie Gainwell is there in case anything happens.
Gainwell among the litany of other running backs that they have.
Oh, don't worry about that boy. That boy is gonna be good too. And then Dallas got it. All Jalen Hurts has is weapons, and all he needs is an opportunity. And I'm so excited about Hurts this year.
You speaking about these weapons like these like
So guys,
like
the only thing you can say,
Eagles.
the only thing you can say is that he hasn't done it yet. What is this fantasy? I'm betting on things that haven't happened yet.
Yes, but the fantasy we also use, it's about hedging your bets and about using what has happened before to try and guess the future. That's the whole thing of what we do. So that's why you can't be so high on him, because it hasn't happened before.
My issue isn't that if you said, okay, I think he's gonna be good. You speaking like, oh, I know he could be good. This is
because I do.
It's a foregone conclusion.
Because I do.
Yeah, see, that's exactly, you're talking about fantasy, but we are being fantasy analysts right now. You are being a dreamer.
In his worst, Jalen Hurts is going to be a Blake the Snake or a Mariota, who was a terrible quarterback, but he won you fantasy championships just because he ran the ball, just because he would air it out. And I definitely think he's better than those guys. You forgot.
I will give you one thing, and that is that Jalen Hurts should give you a nice baseline of running to give you a consistent floor. To give you a consistent floor when you play him.
Out of the last,
does not mean that he's going to be a top quarterback in the league. That just means
the last 4 games. I didn't go ahead and give you the passing yards, but out of the 2 games, he had a 338-yard game and a 342-yard games. One with 3 touchdowns, one with 2 touchdowns.
So that's all we need. 4-game sample size.
Oh, guys, I'm just telling you. If you
Let us not forget. Drew Lock was looking really good in 4 games at the end of the season.
But Drew Lock, even though he's still a terrible quarterback, but he's still on some good weeks can get you some points.
You must have watched Drew Lock's games last year.
Yeah, I saw him. But Hurts is way better than Drew Lock.
I give you that. He is better, but I'm just saying it's a small sample size for you to be
Drew
so
Lock doesn't
certain.
run.
Yeah, the thing about it, Shirlen, is we don't have enough. We don't have enough to go off of. Well, guys, and we can't go off of dreams and skittles.
You have to get on the
go off of hard numbers
now, guys. You have to get on the screen now, because by the time
I will stand on the platform and wait.
Guys, I'm letting you know, these guys almost tried to talk me out of Derrick Henry. These guys let Metcalf slip to me in our dynasty draft. I'm telling you, just please listen to me.
No.
Please.
Talk about what happened.
Nah, we'll just leave it there. And this is an exciting off season. No. Right after the show, I'm going to go watch some more Hurts, Reagor, and Smith tape.
52% completion percentage last season, by the way.
I never seen no one hype himself up like this.
Yeah. All in all, though, as we talk, let's bring it on home now. The Eagles right now they are a little bit of a tale of two seasons.
Right.
and they have a whole new coaching staff right now as well.
You might as well say it's a
There's
whole
just
new team, pretty much.
There's just a lot of unsurety right now with this team. I think of all the teams in the NFC East, this is the team to be that we are the most unsure of. You know, this is the team that has seen the most turnaround in terms of what's going on with their offense. We don't know. You know, Jalen Hurts, yes, he's coming in, but you know, are they going to be smart and build the offense around him like they should? Not everyone does that. Not every coaching staff knows that that's what they need to do. You know, Miles Sanders was not the greatest last season either.
No, he wasn't.
He had some difficulties, and I think that was due to his size. You know, is he going to be able to get to overcome that?
Like Theo just said, like that's another thing you have to take into account. Like we don't know how this coach is going to coach. He may not play to Jalen Hurts' strengths. He may try to put him in a box that he doesn't fit in, and that completely kills his stock.
Right. Okay. Bring it on.
I'm not saying he will, but it's a possibility. We've seen it before.
Okay, guys.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
All right, Sean. Okay.
All right. So as we come around to the end now, Miles Sanders is going in the mid-third round right now. Miles Sanders going around names like, oh wow, is James Robinson really still going in the third round? Okay.
That feels scary to me.
We got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders, and David Montgomery.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the third?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So we got CEH, Miles Sanders, and David Montgomery. Put them in order.
I would take both of them ahead of Miles Sanders.
CEH. Yeah,
CEH.
I would.
CEH, Montgomery, then
Sanders.
And
this is not Hurts hype, but Hurts will take away the rushing potential of Miles Sanders.
That ain't if you took, I co-sign that.
Right.
I would agree with that as well.
Right.
So if you took let's say, you know, going off of the rankings right now, let's say you had pick 3, you took Derrick Henry with your third pick, and in the second round you took Calvin Ridley. Would you be happy to take Miles Sanders as your RB2?
If
both of those names we already called were gone,
right. If there's no great wide receiver,
or would you just be looking for a wide receiver? The closest wide receivers around Miles Sanders, Allen Robinson. We're in the scary. We're back to Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson, Mike Evans.
I would take a McLaurin or Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to be in icky territory to take Miles Sanders over anyone around him right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary because you just don't know. I think Miles Sanders represents the end of a tier in my list. You know, if I were doing out tiers like we were saying, Miles Sanders would probably represent the very end of what I would take in the third round. Like, you know, those players that I am not really sure about, but at least I know he has a role.
Yeah. And just if like I was left. The running back room. Let me read off the running back room right now. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kerryon Johnson, Jordan Howard, they brought back. Jason Huntley, Adrian Killins, Elijah Holyfield, and Kenneth Gainwell. So pretty much they're telling you that it's going to be a committee. And we know the Eagles are committee back people.
Oh, yeah.
So
they have a heavy rotation.
They have a heavy rotation. Which is good for the running back, but not good for fantasy.
Yeah.
It's definitely gonna be interesting. You gotta watch these first, but with the Eagles, here's the other part of it is the upside of this is I think we're gonna know really quickly what's happening there for that Eagles team. Yeah. So I would make it a priority to watch their first couple of games specifically because there's so much polarity to what's going on with them. Like I believe there's going to be fantasy producers out of that offense, but who is it going to be?
Yeah.
You know, in terms of the wide receivers and the running backs, I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I think of all these teams, the Eagles is definitely a watch and wait and see who emerges.
You want to be ready though. You want to be ready to grab someone.
You remember the stretch Travis Fulgham had. You remember the hype.
Yeah.
Greg Ward had for a few. And so you're right. You don't know who the lead dog is. And maybe Devonta Smith is a guy, even though he's still smaller, maybe is a guy who can demand those PPR targets.
It's definitely possible. I think he's going to get a lot of them. And I think he's definitely going to be someone to watch, especially in redraft. I think he's someone that Devonta Smith is going to be someone that I'm going to be looking to get in redraft leagues late. Because I think he's going to be a PPR monster. He's walking into the number one role. So
for sure.
It remains to be seen, how he holds up in the NFL. But if I can get Devonta Smith in the 8th round, sign me up.
Right now, where is he going? Is it ranked?
Let's see. I mean, yeah, we have the rookies are definitely ranked in what I'm looking at right now. But
not to put
Smith,
you on the spot, sorry, but
no problem. I can find it. Okay. Dum 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 dum. Devonta Smith is going. Wow, this is really going. He's going in the 12th round.
Whew, that's a steal.
Currently,
that's a steal. I would take that every
week.
So
I definitely. But guys, remember this is still early.
Right.
The ADPs are still early. That's gonna jump up. That's not gonna stay there.
I don't think he's gonna be on the board that long.
No, he's not gonna remain there.
You're gonna have to take him around the 7th, 8th round.
I definitely think he's gonna make a jump. And so keep an eye on ADPs, guys. What fantasyfootballcalculator.com.
If that's
a good website.
To be honest.
Keep an eye on how that ADP is looking.
I feel like once someone draft, let's say Waddle or one of those other players, everyone will remember, rookies.
Oh yeah, that's rookies, right? That's a good point, Sander.
If you see one of those rookies go up to the board, you got to be aware. All right, there may be a run on those rookie wide receivers.
Definitely. But all right, guys, I think that is it. I think we got through our first division, and we got through the Eagles without killing each other. So
there's still a battle to be. There's still a long battle to be fought.
I mean, Shirlen is going to be horribly wrong on this. We're definitely going to get back to you on with the bet that we make. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Definitely will.
But yes, guys, that's going to be it. That's going to be the episode this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time out. Thank you to those that are listening to us from the Cayman Islands.
Gotta big up the Cayman Islands.
You want to big up Cayman Islands on our iTunes podcast.
I don't know who you are, but we appreciate you listening.
We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you being there. And that doesn't mean that we don't appreciate our Nassau listeners, our Bahamian listeners, our American listeners, anyone that's giving us the time of day.
In Halifax.
Yes, we appreciate you guys. Please continue to watch the journey. Please continue to follow us on all of our social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Couch Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. And definitely follow us on all of our social medias at Couch Champions. For Twitter, Champions Couch. But that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look forward to our next episode where we talk about another division that will remain to be seen. Who could it be?
Ooh. All right, guys. Next time.